Hey guys, it's me, your friend Felissa Rose, Angela from Sleepaway Camp, and you're listening to Kendall Hates Horror! Yeah.
Warning. Some viewers may find the following footage deeply disturbing.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Welcome to my world, bitch.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I like a little killing now and then. What's wrong with that?
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
So, have you seen the pictures of the guy who killed the CEO?
Yeah, Luigi.
Right? Luigi. Yahoo! Have you seen the picture of him being led to the courthouse?
Yeah, he looks like he's on the cover of the 1992 Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, they're escorting him like he's the fucking Winter Soldier, not a 20-year-old with back problems.
Yeah. Somebody put him on the poster for the 1992 Royal Rumble, and he looks like he fits.
Yeah, well, because he's so stark contrasted in the middle in orange, surrounded by everybody that's just in blacks and grays and whites and everything like that. So it's very they didn't do a very good job of making him look less cool.
No,
he looks cooler now than he did, the day they caught him or whatever.
He's always looked cool. They showed his manifesto, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with most of the things that he's saying.
Everything, yeah, he's not wrong. That's the thing, and this is something that I think that it's weird that it's bringing the right and the left together. I got into a Facebook argument with another dude about because there was a headline that said 40% of the younger generation agrees with what Luigi did, and I said now poll Gen Xers because I think those numbers are going to be higher. And some guy was like, I don't think you understand Gen Xers. And I'm like, bro, I don't think you understand that Gen Xers have always been fight the power. And what else is power?
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Kendall Hates Horror. We're doing a deep cuts today. I am your host, Grant. I'm joined by our horror aficionado, our horror fan, and final boy, Evan.
Yeah. I like that. Final boy.
You will be the final boy.
Yeah.
I don't know if do you remember that Casey, Nathan, and I have a death pact? The first one to die wins. So you're gonna win because you're the youngest.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. It doesn't. Well, you quit the smoking, so that helps.
Yeah. That does help. It hasn't helped my allergies.
No,
are worse.
Now
that I've quit smoking.
They're so much worse, and I don't understand that. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the probably the most famous trope in the history of horror, maybe other than person runs from a slow moving killer
and trips over something.
Yeah, we're talking about the final girl.
The final girl.
I mean, it's like I said, I think it's probably the most well-known trope of anything. Everybody knows that, in at least in slasher movies. I mean, it's probably more well-known in slasher movies. There's always the last girl standing, the one that faces off against. She's our hero that faces off against the monster or the killer at the end of the movie.
Yes, she's the last woman standing.
Yeah.
So, where did it come from? Or where did the term come from, I should say?
Well, I mean, the term came. I mean, when we're looking at the final girl, we can talk about when did it start? Who was the first final girl? Blah 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 blah, and that's kind of like subjecture. That kind of just comes. Anybody there's a lot of people that could point to different films and say, oh, this is the first time that a final girl, because people can look at Psycho. Which
Yeah.
Psycho is, yes, it's probably one of the most, if not the most important movie in the history of horror.
And you're of course referring to Lila Crane from
Lila
Psycho.
Crane, we don't talk about Marion because she's not the final girl.
'Cause she dies.
She dies in the
Yeah.
fucking movie. It's actually a trope that people have used. It's another trope that people have used, which is the fake out final girl.
You think it's
Which-
going to be Marion, and
Which
then
Nightmare on Elm Street did that in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Tina was the fake out final girl.
Yeah.
But it ends up being Nancy. But you have so many tropes within that. But people can say like Lila Crane, or they can point to, let's go to 1974 and let's look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Is Sally the first final girl? Do we go 4 years later and talk about, is Laurie Strode the first final girl? And I think most people would point to Laurie as
It's like the pinnacle.
the template for what a final girl will be. But also, we learned of this by a person in academics who still teaches to this day. Her name is Carol Clover.
She's a teacher at University of California, Berkeley,
No,
not Columbia.
the hippies.
The hippies, yeah, where the hippie movement started. Carol Clover is an American professor of medieval studies early in Northern Europe and American film at the University of California, Berkeley.
Yeah, she's probably like the leading. She's probably like the leading expert on her book, Men, Women, and Chainsaws. Took a look at kind of like feminism when it came to horror cinema. She started writing this book when her and her friend went to go see Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it just sparked something in her that was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a look at these films, and was this just a singular incident in this film, or is this something that goes through all of horror films? And her book is basically bookended by the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. So she does her studies from 74 to 86, which, you know, is going to get you a good template for at least the 80s horror movies. That's like her big study pieces during the 80s, which is to think about the final girl. It's a pretty good fucking decade to look at.
There's a lot of examples in that.
I mean, but she does an extensive chapter on rape revenge films as well. She has a whole chapter about I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah, which is by far one of the worst. I mean,
but when she's looking at it, because like the one thing that she looks at is, and it's a good question, is she didn't understand. Okay, so the horror film audience, at least in this time period, it's changed a bit, but the horror film audience back then was predominantly male.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of is. It's changing. There's a lot of. I mean, you go to a convention. There's a lot of women there.
Now, yeah.
But she also, on a side note, in her book, she also has an extensive chapter about supernatural films and why do they pertain. Why do women like them more? Because it's almost flipped when you go to like horror, like the supernatural horror films. It's completely flipped when it comes to the demographics. The women, for some reason, take more to supernatural films, and I don't know why that is. Because like the one I can think of, like in the 80s, that would have had a message to women would have been The Entity, because that movie's about sexual assault.
Yeah.
Great film. Anybody has the chance to watch The Entity starring Barbara Hershey. Fucking great movies, really cool effects, really cool ghost movie. Now that's not like my favorite thing, but it's really good. You should check it out. But she was trying to understand like why in this male dominated fandom do they take to the final girl? Like why is that their hero? And people can be like, well, it's because they just put the girls in there. It's like, well, yeah, but that's fine for the first couple, because you don't, like a film studio. If something ain't working, they're gonna change it. So why does it work so well? Why do these men, because you don't see that in any other genre. If you look at like the action genre in the 80s, what women are leading an action movie? None. None whatsoever. But they're the same demographic. They're roughly the same demographic when it comes to when it comes to looking at the horror and the action genre. But you know, in the action, you're going to see Arnold, you're going to see Sly, you're going to see Bruce, you're going to see
Jean-Claude,
Steven Seagal. You're going to see these guys. You're not. I mean, what action female star is there? Fucking Ripley.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. And
it's Sigourney Weaver.
That's pretty much it. I mean, there's not another. But so it's weird, and I don't really have an answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Is it that these men see the strength in this woman and they gravitate towards it? I'm not for sure what that is.
Well, so let's kick this off. Let's define what Carol Clover decided what the final girl is. She's often young, pretty, and virginal, but that has been changed to more, instead of virginal being more virtuous than virginal.
Yeah.
And avoids the vices of the other female characters. This goes back to what Randy says in Scream 1. No drugs, no drinking, no sex, those type of. This is the rules for surviving a horror movie. That is also in our intro. She avoids the vices of other female characters. She does not. This is the big one. She does not have a male savior to rely on.
Well, she has two separate kinds of final girls. She has the survivor final girl, like a Nancy or a Sydney. But she also has the final girl who is saved by somebody, which would be Laurie Strode or Sally Hardesty from Texas Chainsaw. She does differentiate the two, but it's basically they are the same, and then they just kind of branch off a little bit.
But I think what she's saying is she doesn't have a male savior to rely on. Basically, throughout the movie,
throughout the film,
throughout the film, it's not until that last moment that Sally or Laurie gets saved that she didn't have someone to run to save her.
Yeah.
From the Myers boy.
They survive long enough in their movie to be saved.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only difference between those two. Other than that, she sees them as the same. And she also has an interesting take about like how the final girl is she's either doesn't have sex or she's sexually unavailable.
So, yes, that was the other terminology that I saw, was sexually unavailable also counts. Because going back to Scream, Sydney avoids sex and is sexually unavailable, but she's still the final girl, even though her and Billy end up in a bed together.
Yeah, but that's told for that's a story based type
right.
Of scenario.
That's a different. Well, she still maintains the virtuousness because even though she's at this party, she's not drinking, doing drugs, or engaging in the other vices that the other girls are.
I think two examples to look at that actually hold water to both of those scenarios where it's either you don't have sex or you're sexually unavailable. You look at Laurie. Annie's making fun. Annie and Linda are making fun of her the whole time that she doesn't have a boyfriend and blah blah blah. And then she's just doesn't have sex.
Yeah, she's the virginal version.
And then you look at Stretch from Texas Chainsaw 2. We look at Stretch in Texas Chainsaw 2 and we're like, well, she probably bucks. I mean, she's good looking and she's a badass bitch or whatever. But what it is her coworker at the radio station asked her out on a date and she's like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah,
like that's just her.
She makes herself unavailable.
Exactly, and that's kind of a different, because you can take it as like, oh, she's a virgin by choice or she's a virgin by options,
circumstance.
Yeah, and either one of those works, because you look at Nancy. Nancy's in a relationship. She has a boyfriend. She's with Glenn.
Yeah,
but we see that they probably haven't had. I think Glenn talks about the fact that they haven't had sex.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so it just depends on the situation, and we know that Sydney doesn't have sex for reasons because of her mother and all that stuff. So yeah, that's
and because Sydney's smart, and I'm assuming she's excelling in school. She's doing well in school, at least, because she makes it into college in the second one. But
on a theater scholarship.
But she's not like rushing in. So she makes herself unavailable because she's got ambition to do something other in life. She
Yeah,
didn't
and
want to end up
it's also the trauma of her mother dying
Yeah.
literally a year before that.
Yeah.
So and she was there at the house when her mother was killed because she sees Cotton leaving.
Yeah,
the house
she's the
and
one
stuff
that-
like- yeah, she's the one that fingered him.
I think what the audience is really wanting us to do is make our Mount Rushmore of Final Girls. We'll save that for the very end of the
for
podcast.
sure.
So I'm going to tease you. We both will have our Mount Rushmore of Final Girls, but you have to listen to the whole. You have to listen.
You
to
have
the
to
whole,
listen to the end to
You have
get
to
that
listen to the
shit.
whole thing. Yeah, we're not giving that away for free, people. But let's talk about Final Girls in like. Okay, so we talked about the Final Girls in like the 74 to like 86. So you have like a 12-year span. Let's talk about more modern Final Girls.
Like how modern, like 90s or like recent.
Like recent right now, because I don't remember. You can tell me the year the movie came out, but Happy Death Day. Tree Glubman has got to be
I think
was that 2017?
2018? Maybe 2016, 2017, around there.
I don't know. I saw it during COVID with you, so my time frame is all thrown off because I think we watched both of them back to back.
Yeah.
And so we have you have the tree. A tree is such a weird final girl because she spends the entire movie dying.
Well, also she's kind of a bitch at the beginning.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't seem like the virtuous final girl.
No, she's definitely not the virtuous final girl because we get the distinct look at Tree's life where at first she wakes up in Carter's room. Obviously, we find out later that they didn't have sex.
Right. But the impression is that they did.
Yeah, and then and she's.
And this is also after a night of drinking.
Yeah. So and we come to find out why she is the way she is and stuff like that throughout the film. I don't want to give it away for people that haven't seen it.
We're gonna have that we're gonna have the Happy Death Day episode on the podcast at some point.
But she has she's a different final girl and she has like a journey,
it's a redemption arc.
Yeah, it's a redemption arc, but she's not like a fucking
She's not a monster.
A monster. She's just like shitty to people.
She's just she's what exactly the person that I would compare her to would be Cordelia Chase.
Yeah, she is.
Angel and Buffy. Because in Buffy, she was the mean girl who was kind of mean to everybody, and she even makes a comment about it.
She becomes like a Heart of Gold character that everybody ends up loving.
So by the time she gets to the second movie in Happy Death Day to You, she is a completely different person.
Oh yeah,
because she associates with the nerds, and she she likes
Carter's.
Carter, yes, Carter. Like I said, it's been 4 years since I watched that movie, so.
I mean, we can talk about Grace from Ready or Not.
I fucking love Grace.
Yeah, she is an interesting final girl because she's a survivor.
She's a survivor. Yeah.
She survives a lot of crazy shit. She's interesting because she's kind of a mix of the final girl that survives the end, but also the final girl that has a savior, which ends up being her brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And she's but also the I don't know. She's just real hardened, and she kind of just gets it. Like she understands that the situation she's in is
she understands it
crazy.
very early in the movie because that's when she throws the bandoliers on and grabs the shotgun, cocks it, and goes.
Yeah, she has no. I like that she never goes. She's one of those final girls that never goes beyond her means. She never, out of nowhere knows fucking kung fu. You know what I mean? She's just. She's doing what she can to survive.
Yeah, she's
but
hiding.
Also she's going. She's going against not the the craftiest motherfuckers that's ever been around.
No, the whole family seems like they're just a family full of morons.
Yeah,
really.
then that's why it works.
Yeah, I think that's why she survived.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
The only smart one was Adam Brody.
Yeah, but there's others that you don't. Oh man.
But I feel like that movie was kind of it was almost like a reverse slasher because everybody else is trying to kill her, and they end up dying instead.
Yeah, and Some of them not of her own hand.
Not of-
like
yeah,
she
yeah.
doesn't even do anything to them. But you have like probably another interesting one. You haven't seen the movie. There's a movie called The Menu.
No, I haven't
really
seen it.
fantastic movie. Anya Taylor-Joy, and it takes place at a fancy restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a very interesting final girl. I won't give it away, but she is like, she has this survivor, but like, oh man, she's so gritty in that movie. She's like the everyman. She's almost like a John Carpenter final girl / boy.
Mm-hmm. Well, this would be the second time she became a final girl, because I would consider her also a final girl from Split.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, I would say she's been a final girl 3 times over, because she's kind of a final girl in The Witch.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, there's look, okay. Anya Taylor-Joy, Hollywood is borrowing her, but she belongs to us.
Yeah.
She will always belong to us, because Robert Eggers found her when she was 15 years old, put her in The Witch, and she's a horror queen. She will tell you that she's a scream queen.
Yeah.
And she belongs to us.
Just make sure you give her back.
You can borrow her for a little bit, but she's coming back, because
She's
Robert
always-
Eggers is going to make another movie. He's going to put her in it.
Yeah.
And
she's always going to come back to us. Like,
so, but yeah, I would consider like Erin from The Menu as a more modern final girl, because that's more like The Witch is. It's kind of different, because like it's a horror film, but it's one of the new like elevated horror films, or
Yeah.
like artsy type of independent films, horror films.
I feel like the final girl trope has kind of has been muddied a little bit with the more modern horror, but it's still there.
Oh yeah, it's still there. I mean, we can talk about. Take the new Scream series. We have double final girls.
Yeah, we have 2.
We have Tara and we have Sam.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting thing for them to do, was to do the double final girl. I know Scream has always been kind of like multiple survivors, because like Sydney's the final girl, but you can also say that the survivors are Gail, Dewey, and Sydney. Sydney's the main
Yeah.
person, whereas Sam and Tara are almost like they're intertwined.
Right.
They survive together.
If one doesn't survive, the other one wouldn't survive.
Yeah, exactly. Because you look at both of those films, they are saved by each other, like in multiple times.
Yeah.
Because they're in Scream 5, Tara kind of saves Sam, and then vice versa in 6.
Yeah.
They don't survive without each other, And you can also say like, well, all the twins are that too, but they're not the same. They're never there at the end. Mindy makes a joke about it.
Yeah.
Where she's like, one of these times I'm gonna be there when they take off that mask.
I'm gonna be part of finding out who the killer is.
She's like,
Yeah.
I'm never there when it happens. I always get fucking stabbed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that would be like probably a more modern take on the final girl. You can also talk about like any of the '90s final girls. You have Julie from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
You have Alicia Witt's character from Urban Legend. I like The Killer. It's good.
Yeah, it's fine.
I like the cast. The cast is really good.
The cast is really good.
It's like fucking crazy good.
Yeah.
You have Alicia Witt, Jared Leto, Michael Rosenbaum, Tara Reid, Robert Englund, fucking Brad Dourif.
Rebecca Gayheart was in there.
Rebecca Gayheart. There's so
This
many.
was back when Rebecca Gayheart was a big thing.
Yeah.
This is when she was a big deal.
There was so many. Joshua Jackson. You have your lesser known final girls like Holly Marie Combs from Dr. Giggles. Because Dr. Giggles rules.
Why? Yeah, I don't know why that movie gets as much hate as it does.
I
I
don't
like that
either.
one better than like The Dentist with Corbin Burnson.
I like The Dentist. The Dentist is fun, but
but Dr. Giggles is way more entertaining for
Dr.
me.
Giggles is like one of the original meta horror films.
Yeah, it
People don't
is.
really
Yeah.
understand how fucking meta that movie is, and it's fucking awesome. It's got a fucking dose of the '90s too. You got Larry Drake.
Yeah.
If anybody's a fan of the Darkman movies.
Yeah, with those two people that are fans of the Darkman movies.
Yeah. You remember him as what was it, Durant?
Durant.
Yeah. And then anybody that was old enough to watch L.A. Law remembers him as the mentally handicapped paralegal.
Yep.
That he won fucking Emmy Awards for. And then fucking Holly Marie Combs. Hey, any Charmed fans out
Yeah.
there? She was in that show. Everybody hated her. She was like the least interesting sister. But yeah, and you have like lesser known things like like I said, Dr. Giggles. You also have what's her name that was in fucking Wishmaster.
Oh my God, what is?
Yeah.
That's a movie name I haven't heard in a long time.
But she's a final girl. She makes it all the way to the end.
She does make it all the way to the end.
She ends up with the dude that she rejected at the beginning of the movie and stuff because they do a whole time travel thing at the end of Wishmaster. They go back and change things, and she decides to give him a chance.
Yeah, Wishmaster notoriously, one of those horror movies that tries to add like everybody who's ever been an idol in horror movies to the movie.
They're all in that movie.
Because Robert Englund was in it, Ted Raimi was in it, and then Angus Scrimm.
He's the narrator.
He's the narrator for Wishmaster.
Tony Todd's in that movie.
Tony Todd's in that movie.
Kane
So
Hodder's in that movie.
literally anybody who's ever been in a horror movie, they just threw it in there.
Oh, the other horror icon that's in Wishmaster is Reggie Bannister.
Reggie Bannister,
Yeah, he's the pharmacist.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is Reggie Bannister, he gets killed in that movie. He gets killed by another kind of horror icon if you go deeper into it because he gets killed by Buck Flower, who plays the homeless guy. And if you're a John Carpenter fan, he's in all the John Carpenter
He's
movies.
in all the John Carpenter movies, yeah.
Yeah, and because I love Reggie Bannister.
Yeah, Robert Kurtzman was in that movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of
guys.
people.
Tom Savini was in that movie. He was uncredited. He was a pharmacy customer.
I'm
He was
pretty
just
sure
gonna think
Kurtzman does the effects for that movie.
I believe he does too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just threw him into there. So oh no, sorry, he was the director of the movie.
Oh, he directed. Yeah, that's right.
directed
Yeah,
the
he
movie.
directed it. That's right. Because he was a Savini guy, wasn't he? Kurtzman.
I believe so.
Yeah, I wonder if probably Nicotero probably did some of the effects on that.
I don't know. Like I said, I've seen the Wishmaster like once, maybe twice. I've never even seen. I think I saw the sequel one time, and
I've
I
seen
was
the
like,
sequel.
so bad.
It's the one where he's in prison.
It's the one he's in prison, where he's. I mean, it's the perfect place for people to grant wishes. Like, I just want to get out of here.
He makes that lawyer stick his head up his ass.
Yeah.
It's the best.
It's pretty great. That's like the best part about Wishmaster 2.
Well, the best part of any Wishmaster movie is Andrew Divoff because of his delivery.
Yeah.
He's so good. Oh, yes, sir.
Make your wish granted.
Granted. Like when Kane Hodder tells him to leave, and he's like, no. They're fucking great.
They're great movies. It's fine.
But on to the final girls, and then we have like the 2000s, which moving on. There's some decent ones in the 2000s, but it's not. They're just not like you're not gonna find like many iconic final girls. I don't think. I'd have to really kind of. But I mean, we can also talk about the final boy.
The Final Boy is. I mean, this is people want to credit like Chris Washington from Get Out as like the first Final Boy. He's not the first Final Boy.
I will give you Ash Williams.
Yeah, Ash Williams. I don't know if he's. I'd have to do more extensive research to find out if he's the first Final Boy, but he's definitely like he's the Final Boy, like the final boss Final Boy.
Yeah. I mean. 1979, Mike from Phantasm.
He's
a final boy.
Reggie from Phantasm 2.
Well, I mean, Mike, Jody, and Reggie.
Yeah,
they all survive Phantasm.
Yeah, they
all like because that's our group that we get for the entire series.
Yeah,
is we get those three
for
guys.
The other four movies.
Hey, spoiler alert, they're in all of them, except for for some reason they fucking switched the original Mike for Phantasm 2.
Did they want an older? I think that they want an older guy.
No, they wanted a more well-known guy. I was like, none of these people are known. Like, why do you want a more well-known?
You want to talk about how well-known Reggie Bannister is? Go to a regular, like not a fanatic horror fans like we are. Go to an average horror fan and be like, hey, who's Reggie Bannister? And they're gonna be like, was he Michael J. Fox's character from The Frighteners? Nope, he sure wasn't. Nope.
Sure wasn't.
I was Frank Bannister.
And you know what's funny? You know what Reggie Bannister's real name is?
Reggie Bannister.
He plays Reggie Bannister in Phantasm. Yeah, he plays himself. The song he sings in Phantasm, he wrote that.
Yeah. The funny part is that so I literally just mentioned it, but in the Frighteners, Michael J. Fox's character is named Frank Bannister. Peter Jackson named him Frank Bannister as like kind of an homage to the Phantasm. He couldn't steal Reggie Bannister,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you just used the last
You
name.
want to know another interesting Easter egg for a big fan of Phantasm is J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Where do you think he got Captain Phasma from? He named that after Phantasm. He even made her colors
The same
look
color
like
as
the
the
Sentinel
chrome
balls.
orbs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
What did you call them?
Sentinel balls. That's what
Oh,
they're
Sentinel
called.
balls. Okay. I thought you said something else. I was like, wait, what'd you call it?
Oh, yeah.
Do I get to correct you on something?
No,
no.
sweaty balls. No,
They're
no,
sweaty balls?
They were called Sentinel balls. That is their proper term.
Just like everyone always calls it. When people call it the Hellraiser puzzle box, I want to slap the
It is
shit.
the
The
lament
lament configuration.
No, I mean I feel that way when people call Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein.
Frankenstein?
No, Frankenstein was the
the
doctor.
doctor.
That is his monster.
We could just call him Abby.
Or when they
Abby Normal.
Abby normal. When they when they call every vampire Dracula. No, there's one Dracula. It was Count Dracula. That's because that was his fucking name.
Yeah, Count wasn't his first name.
Yeah, Count wasn't his first name. That was his rank. It's like Nosferatu. His name isn't Nosferatu. His name is Count Orlok.
Nosferatu is the race of vampire that he is.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's ever played Vampire the Masquerade might know that Nosferatu is the name of a clan in Vampire the Masquerade.
Well, anybody that grew up in the 90s that might remember that TV show.
I do.
Most don't lie. You don't know what it is.
I do.
I wasn't talking to
Oh.
you. I was talking to Indies listeners
Yeah.
that were like, "Oh, I know what that is." No, you don't.
No, you
you
don't,
don't.
'cause-
You have no fucking idea.
No, you don't, because it only went for 10 episodes. They were going to renew it for second season, and the main actor died in a car crash. So,
Yeah.
so they were like, oh, never mind.
It wasn't what's his name in that. What's his name from Buffy?
Oh, Jeff Kober.
Yeah, Jeff Kober.
Yeah, he played the Nosferatu.
Oh, did he? I
he
never
played
I
the
never
night-
watched it. When you told me about it, it's the first time I ever heard about
Yeah.
it. Like Ash Williams, I would consider a final boy.
Oh, definitely.
The final boy, and then I would consider what's his name from Fright Night?
Charlie.
Charlie, yeah.
Charlie Brewster.
He's a final boy.
He's a
Like,
final boy.
all
Yeah,
day.
absolutely.
Like I said, I would consider Mike from Phantasm to be a final boy.
Also, this is another. You'll definitely recognize the movie, but Vamp came out in '86.
Oh yeah, Vamp is
With
awesome. It's got that great cover.
It's got a great cover, kind of reminiscent of Rocky Horror Picture Show. But they had two final boys in that, which was Keith.
Yeah, because that's them going to like that strip, like it's like a strip club / burlesque club or
Yep.
whatever.
With with a really weird looking Grace Jones,
Yeah.
but she's awesome in that movie. She's what a vampire looks like if she's pretending to be a human. Like she's just very. She's very regal. She's very, whatever. But anyways, there were two final boys in that. It was Keith and AJ.
Yeah.
Although I'm pretty sure AJ actually got turned into a vampire, but they didn't. But they were gonna quote unquote continue the friendship while he walks through the sewers while Keith is walking with the girl up there. Anyways, that was another example of having a dual final boy.
Even though there's not really any survivors, would Ben from Night of the Living Dead be considered sort of a final boy to an extent?
From the original, I would say yes. Although,
Obviously,
again, spoiler, he doesn't make it at the very end.
Yeah, well, nobody does.
But in the remake, and again, I feel like is the superior Night of the Living Dead, Patricia Tallman becomes a final girl.
Yeah, that's true.
She does, because she gets rescued by a bunch of men, but she survived. If she'd stayed in the house, she would have died.
Yeah.
So she ventured out to go try and save herself, and she does. She goes and finds help, and then brings them back to try and save Ben, and Ben is unfortunately gone.
Whatever.
So R.I.P. Tony Todd.
Yeah. I miss. Oh, another. I forgot about that. Another final girl, Virginia Madsen from Candyman.
Yes.
A great final girl that goes through the ringer.
She really
Jesus
gets.
Christ. See, that's why Candyman's so fucking scary to me, because he murders all these people and then makes it look like it's your fault.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Virginia Madsen's character in that movie was a real trooper.
She's great. There's another '90s final girl. But yeah, like I mean, and then we could talk about like some of the more modern like final boys. I guess you would consider like Chris from Get Out.
Chris from Get Out, yeah, he's a final boy.
There's
By the way, Virginia Madsen's character's name was Helen.
Helen. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, Helen, be my victim.
Be my victim.
Yeah, that's right.
With that fucking voice.
Another
Flash.
final boy I just thought of, Alex from Final Destination.
Alex from Final Destination, although they do consider, even though it doesn't make sense because she dies in the second one, but Clear Rivers is considered a final girl from.
Well, yeah,
those
they both survive in Final Destination because there's
And
3
he
survivors at the end. Well, not really because Carter bites it before the
yeah,
credits.
yeah, before the credits roll. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I consider those two, and then there's all the the Final Destination series is weird because there's besides the first one, there's no survivors. Because
The girl from the second one survived.
The cop and the girl from the second one survived, but like 3,
Because-
Catherine McPhee doesn't survive that movie.
No, because at the end of the second movie, they're sitting at the cookout or something like that.
Yeah,
and
and then
talking about and then the boom, and then
Yeah. God, like Final Boys in the modern age,
they're few and far between.
they're few and far between, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so hard to pin down like one from the modern age besides like Chris.
Besides Chris, I can't think of any.
Yeah,
off
I
the top
mean,
of my
because I
head.
guess you could. I mean, it's a kind of a fucked up one, but I mean, Danny from Midsummer's a final girl.
No, she's actually on the list. I went and looked up a list like a comprehensive list
Yeah.
of like the final girls. And Danny is listed on as a final girl. She is because I specifically looked up and this is another thing that I'm going to do towards the end is I did look up a IndieWire did a top 10 final. They said final girl, but it also includes some men. So it's the final people. Danny was on that list, and the main reason why she's a final girl, how she survived was. She ate some hallucinogens, did a little dance, burned the barn down.
I mean,
She's
that's
not-
that movie in a nutshell.
Yeah, congratulations, you've now seen Midsummer, and I'm sorry.
It's so good. It's a very divisive film. It split the audience for sure.
And I definitely split the other way.
Because Ari Aster does that.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just I pulled up the IndieWire list. Let's just go ahead and go through that. Okay, so I guess
do you want to talk about the fact that John Carpenter's take on the final girl?
I would love to hear John Carpenter.
John
because I actually don't
Carpenter-
know this.
John Carpenter, he sees people look at like Halloween as him because Halloween is seen as a definitive. Like when you look at the tropes of slasher films, Halloween is seen as the blueprint for those tropes.
Yeah, I think we talked about this, or we will be talking about this on episode 5. Without Halloween, you wouldn't have Friday the 13th, and without Friday the 13th, without Halloween, you wouldn't have Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have Hatchet. You wouldn't have some of these other like iconic slasher movies. John Carpenter really like created the mold, and then other directors just except for Friday the 13th because that was almost a direct ripoff.
No, it wasn't almost. It was.
It was a
Sean
direct
Cunningham said,
Yeah.
it's a ripoff of Halloween.
yeah.
Of Halloween. It's a lesser Halloween.
I mean, you got to give Wes Craven a little bit of credit because he kind of took the mold and just adjusted it for what he needed
yeah, I mean,
and made
by that point the tropes were already there.
Yeah.
So I mean, because they were being used in all these other slasher films that were coming out in the early '80s. I mean, by the time Nightmare on Elm Street came out, you had 4 Friday movies.
Yeah.
Because Final Chapter came out in '84.
Yeah.
So
and then what? The first Nightmare came out in '84, right?
yes.
Was it before or after 5?
I'm
So I guess they didn't. I thought they had them in a particular order, but this is actually just their top 25 final girls. Okay, so starting off the list strong, they have Ellen Ripley from Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, etc., etc. I don't dispute this. Ellen Ripley might be the first female action hero slash horror.
I would
action.
consider her. I can't think of any other woman that was like a straight up action hero.
No, I can't.
Especially that went through pretty much the entire series.
Went through the entire series. Yeah.
I mean, if you're 1 through 3.
1 through 3 because there's not one after 3. I don't know what that was. I think it was a fever dream of some sort.
I love in Alien 3 when she makes the basket behind her head. She did that on her first try.
Oh, and the fourth one, yeah.
Yeah, and that Ron Perlman is like losing his mind for real because he's like, oh my fucking God.
I can't believe she just did that. Yeah, and she just she throws the basketball, makes it, casually walks away, doesn't even know she made it.
And Ron Perlman's
was
back
just
there
like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, he just has this look on his face like he's just astonished.
Yeah, fucking rules.
Motherfucker, I couldn't do this.
But yeah, Ellen Ripley, she's fucking great.
Jess Bradford from Black Christmas, 1974.
Yes, Olivia Hussey.
Yeah, Olivia Hussey.
Also in the greatest film ever made, Ice Cream Man.
That's 3 of the greatest films ever made so far. And then this is the first one where they have 2. This is a boy and a girl. It is Marty Millis. I don't remember how to. Cabin in the Woods and Dana Polk. I don't remember them ever saying Marty's last name, but whatever.
Best telescopic bong in the history of film.
It was actually functional.
It was actually functional.
It was completely functional. Yeah, that thing cost like $20,000 to make.
Ridiculous.
It's so dumb. So I can't believe they put that. This one is I'm a little on the fence about whether or not this is a final girl because the end of the movie suggests that she's not living, but it was Sarah Carter from The Descent.
No, she's.
I thought the movie ended with her having this like dream or hallucination of her getting out, but then it comes back that she's still
that is an alternate ending.
That's an okay. So
yeah, the original ending, she just climbs out and she
gets out.
She leaves. Yeah.
Okay, so I only watched the one with the alternate.
They tested with that ending and didn't test. They
were like, oh, this movie's really depressing. So apparently, I watched only the depressing version.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. There's a version where she just leaves.
Yeah, she just leaves. Yeah. Here we go with the final boy, Ash Williams, Evil Dead.
Yeah. If I was doing a Mount Rushmore of final boys, it would be Ash, and Ash.
Yeah. I mean, we all love Chris Washington from Get Out, he's not on
Ashley Williams.
He's not He's not on Ashley Williams level.
Yeah, he does not. He does not shop smart.
Yeah, he did not shop that smart. And then they go with this is a single, which is I thought was weird because they also didn't throw Devon Sawa's character's name on this. I don't remember what his character's name was. Clear Rivers from the first Final Destination.
Yeah, I mean, but
Alex was his name.
Alex Browning, yeah, that's his name.
Alex Browning.
But he survives the whole movie. He's the hero of the movie.
I mean, they did say that both Alex and Clear qualify as franchise first final girls, technically.
But Clear actually comes back for a sequel.
She actually comes back for a sequel.
Not that that's an end-all be-all because Sally never came. Well, I guess Sally came back in the new Texas Chainsaw movie. It wasn't the actual Sally because she had passed away.
Yeah.
But yeah, they. I mean, I guess, but I consider Alex to be the hero of that movie.
He was, yeah.
Because she doesn't survive without him. Because he's the one who takes her death away from her.
Yeah.
When he gets electrocuted.
And then we have Friday the 13th, Part 2, Jenny Field.
Yep.
Yeah, she's.
I agree. I remember in the past I said that.
You said that, yeah. That she's one of the greatest final girls of all time.
It's like I wrote it.
Then 2017, Get Out, Chris Washington.
Yep.
On that list.
I agree.
And then again, I don't think these are in any particular order, but Halloween, Laurie Strode, obviously. Is going to be on that list.
She would top a lot of people's lists.
Happy Death Day, Tree Glebman. We talked about this already. I thought she's great. When you made me sit down, it was 2017. I didn't watch it until we were in the midst of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I had heard about it, but I was like, I don't know. It kind of sounds goofy, and you're like, no, it fucking rules.
Yeah,
I sat down. By the end of the first movie, I was so in fucking love with Tree Glebman, specifically Jessica Roth. She's so great in that movie, and she really.
She's so fucking charismatic.
And she's so goddamn funny.
She's hilarious. I couldn't believe how fucking funny she was in that movie. I was like, this movie rules. I
Yeah.
love Christopher Landon. He has made some fucking banger.
Mhm.
Oh, that's another final girl I forgot about was Millie from Freaky. She's a great final girl
Yeah.
too, and we love Catherine Newton here.
We do. We are total Catherine Newton supporters here.
Yeah.
We support a lot of people.
Yeah.
This one's personal to you, Christy Cotton from Hellbreaker, from Hellraiser.
Oh my God, I didn't
Hellraiser.
even think about
Yeah.
that when we were talking about final girls.
Well, she was 87, so it wasn't in that 12-year gap that you were talking
remember,
about.
because we were talking about this a few days,
Because
probably about a week ago.
Shane asked us if we're going to be adding Hellraiser to our list, which, by the way, I did.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh yeah, well, because Christy Cotton's like one of the greatest final girls that ever exists."
Yeah, she's like probably the most underrated final girl that's
She
ever
is,
existed.
yeah.
Because that is going to be my criteria for my Mount Rushmore later. I'll talk about my criteria.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about why I have the people that I have on my Mount Rushmore. Maybe
maybe
I don't include some people that maybe other people would have, and I'm not going to have them on there for reasons. And I will have my reasons, and they're my personal reasons. So get out of my DMs.
All right. So this one might be a little bit controversial. Paxton Rodriguez from Hostel.
Yeah, I agree.
I like it. I mean, he does get off really early in the second one, but they also
if we're just considering Hostel 1,
If we're just considering
he
Hostel
is
1.
because he fucking survives.
yeah, and he goes through some shit. Like his best friend.
I didn't even
gets-
think about him as a final boy. Yeah, that's a good one.
He didn't. He survived some things in that torture scenario. Like, oh man, the scene where his fingers get chopped off with a chainsaw. Oh my God!
Oh
And
no,
he has-
that's not even the scene that freaks me out the most. Like,
is
I
it-
like it.
no, the eyeball is the one that freaks me out the most.
No, well that obviously, but gory it's when he pukes. It's when he has the ball gag in his mouth, and he's so fucking scared that he
pukes with the ball gag in his mouth, so he's like choking on his own
It's
vomit.
fucking.
Yeah.
It sucks, and it's only because he's so fucking scared. Like he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking die." Cool. This was an awesome vacation.
Yeah, I can't wait to do this again next year. Julie James, I Know What You Did Last Summer, 1997.
What do you want from me?
Yeah, what do you want from me? that stupid. Oh, here's one that's also very near and dear to your heart, and probably very near and dear to Kendall's heart. Martin Brody and Matt Hooper from Jaws.
Yeah,
Final boys.
I love Matt Hooper. If we ever do Jaws, I'm basically gonna be fawning over Richard Dreyfuss the
Well,
entire
I mean,
time.
who wouldn't? I mean, look at that face right there.
Because he's fucking great in that movie.
Yeah, a very, very young Roy Schneider, pre-gray hair, pre-DS, Sequest DSV.
Yeah, he's fucking great in that movie.
Midsummer, Danny Adore.
Never knew she had a last name.
How they won, surrendering to hallucinogens, winning a dancing contest, and then dumping his bare ass before lighting a barn on fire.
Dumping his bare
That's
ass.
how she wins.
Dumping his bare ass. I love that shit.
Yeah. Here you go. Here's I'm making a bold assumption to say that this is on your Mount Rushmore. Nancy Thompson, A Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if it's going to be on your Mount Rushmore. I know we talk about Nancy being one of your favorite final girls, so I don't know if that's actually going to make Mount Rushmore.
She's great because you know why? She's good on the road and at home.
Here's a spoiler. Emerald Haywood from Nope. I have not seen Nope yet.
Yeah, Emerald Haywood. That is what's her fucking Keke Palmer? I believe is the actress' name.
Keke Palmer.
She is fantastic in that movie. Michael Wincott's in that movie. He rules in that movie. Because I was like,
Michael Wincott rules in every movie.
But I
I'm
was
a
like-
Michael Wincott supporter.
but I was like,
He was also in that Alien movie that doesn't exist, but whatever.
But I was like, oh, it's Michael Wincott. I haven't seen him in something since fucking Along Came a Spider.
He was in Along Came a Spider.
Yeah, he was the villain. He was the fucking kidnapper.
This is one that I didn't think of, and I think it's fucking awesome. I don't know if you've seen this movie or not. I may have one on you that you don't. Naru from Prey. Amber Midthunder.
Yeah, I love. Prey.
Oh my God,
Prey
that movie,
rules.
that movie was so good.
Yeah, she was great. I didn't remember her name, but when you said Amber Midthunder, I was like, oh yeah.
I
remember
know exactly.
Because the what's his face in that movie fucking rules too. The dude in that, God, I can't remember. He has a Native American name too, and I can't remember what his name is. He's fucking awesome in that movie too. I've only seen it the one time.
I've only seen it once also.
I saw it when it first came out on Hulu, and I was like, wow, that's the best Predator movie since the first one.
Exactly. That was my exact same thought.
Yeah, I was not that that's a high bar because the other Predator movies are Predator 2 is fine.
Fine. It's fine. Don't.
Predators sucks. Alien versus Predator
Was fine.
Is fun.
Alien vs. Predator Requiem was hot garbage.
It's dog water,
Was-
but the original one is fun.
It's fun.
And that's when Lance Henriksen did the trio.
That's when he
That's when he
made
finished the he's in an exclusive club that only includes him and Bill Paxton.
in King's Landing. We call that making the 8.
Yeah, yeah. It's you've been killed by a Terminator, a Predator, and an alien.
Correct. Ready or Not, Grace Ledom.
Yep. Oh, they gave her married name.
Her married name.
'cause
She was married. Yeah. And then Scream, Sidney Prescott and Gail Weathers.
Oh yeah, put him at joint. I would still consider
Sydney's
the final girl.
Yeah,
because,
it's 1A and then 1B.
especially if you consider 4, because Gail isn't even present.
Yeah.
For the end scene, which she is for all the other ones.
Yeah.
But even in 5, she's present for that.
She is in, yeah.
But in Scream 4, they like sideline her for some reason, and I don't know why. But yeah, I consider Sydney to be alone in that, whereas Gail is a supporter.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Sally
Hardesty.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And here's another one that's very near and dear to your heart. The Thing, R.J. McCready and Childs. Boom, he's making the fist bump.
Yeah, because but that's also could be deceiving because
We don't actually, yeah.
a lot of people don't know. I don't want to spoil this for Kendall because we do have this movie coming up soon-ish.
Very soon. It's like within the next month.
Yeah, because it's one of my favorites, and I can't wait till we actually get to sit down and watch this and see what Kendall thinks about this movie.
I just watched it like a month ago. It still holds up so well.
Good. But yeah, R.J. McCready and Childs.
Oh no, it's in 2 weeks.
Oh, it's in 2 weeks.
Sorry, it will be in the month. It will be released in the month of January. I'm not sure when, but yes, the ending of that movie is supposed to be up for interpretation. That one of them may, or both of them
are
could be
infected. Yeah,
could be infected. The next one is this is also a movie I haven't seen before. I have to take the word for it, but Adelaide/Red from Us.
Yes.
I'm assuming that would be Lupita Nyong'o's character because that's her picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I have not seen that movie, so we can't really talk about that a whole lot. I guess we can. Doesn't matter. Maxine Minks from X.
Yep.
Yep. They consider.
Yep. I would agree because she's a final girl through and through. Because she's in 2 films. Because she's in X and she's in Maxine, of course. But she's a great final girl. She fucking kills the fuck out of all those people.
That's fair. And the last on the list, Aaron Harson from You're Next.
Yes.
I have never seen that one either. So
yeah,
there
that
are
is
several movies on this
Sharni Vinson.
Sharni Vinson.
She was in Australian Survivor, along not on the same season as Grayson Waller.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, that movie's awesome. Barbara Crampton's comeback movie.
Oh, really?
That is the movie she cites as her comeback into horror.
So how do you feel about that list?
I like it. I think it's good. I think they got most of the people that I would say.
Yep.
I think it actually like.
Did it hit all of them?
It hit all of them, and I think it also changed my Mount Rushmore.
Oh Jesus! Oh dear.
No, I think that's a good list. It got the final boys that I would have put on there.
I think so too.
I mean, I think having
Marty from Cabin in the Woods also, a great final boy.
I consider him more of like, because what's the girl's name?
Dana.
Dana. Yeah, it's a. I consider him more because he sticks to his fucking gun so hard
the whole time.
He's just like, fuck that. He's like, but you'll be saving everybody. He's like, I don't fucking care.
I don't care.
Fuck those people.
She has a moment of like.
She's like maybe, but he's like
no. Not at the risk. Not. I'm not.
But he does convince her, and then they just go out together.
Yeah,
it's such a sweet fucking movie.
Yeah, it is a really good, and I believe that one's on our list at some point.
It's such a Gen X movie.
It's a very Gen X movie. It's so Gen X because that's everything about it is just like, I'm gonna fuck your feelings. So.
Yeah. But
special thanks to Andy Wire for putting out that list. It came in very handy for us.
We do want a special thanks to them, and we also want to give a special thanks for some of the research to Carol Clover.
Yep.
Her book Men, Women, and Chainsaws. If you're into horror academia at all or anything like that, go and check that book out. It's awesome. I know there's been some more recent essays when it comes to kind of following up on just look them up and just kind of if you're interested in that getting into that side of film, then definitely check out some of those works. They're really good. Oh yeah, I wanted to finish the Carpenter thing. So when they were talking about Carpenter, when he was talking about Halloween, they were like, "Oh, why do you he feels like you're punishing, the promiscuous girls or the people that drink and stuff like that." He's like, "Not really, because when you look at it, like Laurie is like the most sexually repressed person in that movie. And what does she do? She takes. He's like, because let's be real, the butcher knife is a dick. Every weapon I put in that movie is phallic. Everything that she stabs him with is phallic.
Yeah, because
the butcher knife, the crochet needle, the hanger.
Yep.
It's all phallic.
It's all like something going from
she
her.
She took his dick away from him and stabbed him with it.
God bless John Carpenter.
Yeah.
God bless him. Yeah.
But I mean, was there any other things you wanted to touch on before we get to the Rushmore? Or?
Let's go right into the Mount Rushmore, because I feel like we're going to want to talk.
Do we want to like go one by one, or do we want to just do a whole one and I do a whole one?
Let's do one by one. By one. I will start by placing my Mount Rushmore. I'm going to go, and this is me showing my age, but I'm going to go with the OG, the one who created the mold. I'm going to go with Laurie Strode from Halloween. I'm choosing this because I love Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in that movie. She's great. Like you said, everything, it was very phallic, where she was trying to, almost like she was avoiding the dick as much as possible by trying to give it back to him, just in very violent ways. And she's, I mean, you can say what you want to about Texas Chainsaw, but to me, I feel like the original Scream Queen was Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, yeah, she is. I mean, because I don't even really consider Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't because I would put Halloween's in the mold of a slasher. It's Texas Chainsaw isn't really a slasher to me.
It's not really. Yeah. She's so iconic as a Scream Queen that when Ryan Murphy was making the show Scream Queen,
he wanted
her, and he said, and I quote, "If Jamie Lee Curtis is not in my show, I'm not making it." Yeah. So she's so iconic as a Scream Queen, she has to be on my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't have even put her close to my Mount Rushmore until recently, until 2018 came out.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, oh, she kind of deserves it now. For me personally. And that, I don't know if that says something about me or if that says something about the character.
A little bit of both. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column
like Laurie Strode. She's just not, and I love the Halloween movie, but it's not strictly because of her.
No, it's not strictly because of her, but she's great in the role that she's in.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so what's your entry number one?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and top off my top two right off the bat, and we'll leave the other two for surprises. So my number one, and this really is my number one final girl, and I wouldn't say it's not close. It is close. There's a 1A and a 1B, but this one just edges it out for me, and I'm gonna go with Nancy Thompson.
Yep.
From Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, I talk about how much I love her as a final girl.
Yeah.
All the time, because
he does.
Holy fucking shit, she is the best.
Nancy Thompson. Coincidentally, my mom's name was Nancy, so I always had kind of a closer connection with Nancy Thompson than some of the others.
She gets so stressed out by the shit she's going through that she starts going gray.
Yeah.
At 17 years old.
Yep.
She learns how to set up booby traps. She tells her boyfriend, "Yeah, I'm kind of into survival now."
I'm kind of into survival now.
I mean, she literally Home Alone's a fucking dream demon.
Yes. Yeah.
But if we also go into Dream Warriors, she trains all of the Dream Warriors to fight Freddy. She's like I said, she's good at home and on the road.
She's good at offense and defense.
One of the only beefs I have about Nightmare on Elm Street is that fucking end, and we don't have to talk about it, but I think it's a cop-out. I hate the end of It's a Cop Out.
Yeah.
Because I love everything that Nancy builds up to. Because one of the things I think is neat is that when she finally is able to confront her dad is when she's able to face Freddy. And I think that's an interesting thing that happens in that movie. She's able to finally say, I take all of your power away and I turn my back to you. And I think that's so fun. Instead of just killing him, she takes everything away from him. And she's so fucking good in that movie. Heather Langenkamp, I love you. You're the best. I mean, you are amazing.
Who does special effects now?
She married a special effects guy. That's why they have her married to a special effects guy in New Nightmare.
Yep.
Her and Catherine Hicks are simpatico because Catherine Hicks married Kevin Yeager, who made the Chucky doll.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my number one. That's numero uno. Who's like all the way over here? Is that Teddy?
Oh Jesus! You're gonna make me look up a picture of actually look up a picture of Mount Rushmore. Like, okay, hang on a second. I'm actually gonna look it up.
Yeah,
because it's gonna drive me nuts if I don't.
Is it Teddy?
Washington, Jefferson, Teddy,
Lincoln. Okay, our Washingtons are Laurie Strode and Nancy Thompson.
Nancy Thompson, yeah, which are two very good Washingtons.
very good Washingtons, yeah.
So for my next entry, I'm gonna feel like you're gonna hate me for this. I'm gonna steal one. Probably. But I'm going with Ellen Ripley. She's a final girl. There's no other way about it. She literally survives all three of the only three of the franchise. So yeah, I'm picking Ripley because she's so iconic. She exists throughout the first three movies. She's the final girl in every single one of them, even though there are a couple extra people that survive in Aliens, and then she dies in the third one and never comes back. Never comes back at all.
Because who survives in two? Is it Newt and what's his face?
It's Newt, Hicks, and technically Bishop, but not really. Bishop decides that he'll never be the same. So, so yeah, that's my entry. That is my Jefferson.
Your Jefferson.
That's
okay.
my Jefferson.
My Jefferson, and I might snipe one from you, maybe. I'm gonna go with Sidney Prescott. Sidney is.
She breaks the mold.
She does break the mold because she breaks rules.
She does. Yeah.
She breaks the rules of the horror movie that are told to us in that movie.
Yeah, she does.
But she's such a fucking survivor. Like, I don't think the fans would ever forgive any director if they killed her off.
No.
Because she doesn't deserve it.
No.
She deserves to survive those movies because of the fact that all the things that she's been through.
What's the worst thing that she did in any of those movies? She testified against Cotton Weary because she thought he killed her mother, but
rightfully so.
She thought she saw him leave.
And she made it up to him.
And she made it up to him.
She apologized to him.
Especially in the end of the second one. I'll call Barbara Walters. I'm in. Cool. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, like, she's such a survivor. The things that she's gone through, she's had to deal with. She's had to deal with a lot of stuff. I don't want to give away any.
Yeah, because Kendall will probably listen to this episode. I don't want to give away too much.
I do not want to give away anything about those movies. But she's such a survivor. The things that she has to go through to survive those movies. And, I mean, she's just a great final girl. And she's so goddamn likable. Like, Neve Campbell is, like, she's one of the best final girl actresses.
Yeah.
Because Neve Campbell, people may not understand this, but her face acting is ridiculous.
It's actually really good.
It's so
People
good.
make fun of it because of all the face acting she did in Party of Five, but in movies, it works really well.
Especially in a horror film, it's so goddamn good. Like, you feel every emotion, and she is...
With just a look.
She is so goddamn relatable. And she's like... She's the everyman. Anybody can relate to Sidney, whether it's a male or a female. You know, the things that she's had to go through. I just love her. That's why she is my Jefferson.
She's your Jefferson. Okay. So for my Roosevelt, I'm going with a new one. Okay. I am going with Grace from Ready or Not.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think she. First of all, I wasn't on the Samara Weaving bandwagon until I watched this. Now I'm all over it. Like I'm driving the bandwagon.
Yeah, you
like,
should watch The Babysitter. A lot of people don't like those movies. I do. I think they're fun.
But I think her. First of all, she has like. She has one of the greatest screams for a
She
Scream
does have a
Queen.
great
She's so
scream.
good.
I know people call her the Temu version of Margot Robbie, but
It's well, come on. Like even the Temu version of Margot Robbie is
still pretty good.
it's still a 10, bro. It's still a 10. But yeah, I think she's great in that movie. I think she's
so fucking funny in that movie.
she's funny in that movie. And then she finally is resigned to her fate. She grabs a fucking shotgun and bandoliers and just in her wedding dress on her wedding day.
Fucking tennis shoes on.
And with fucking tennis shoes on, at the end of that movie, when the cops and firefighters are showing up, and she's just sitting there, she's doused in blood, and she's smoking a cigarette, right?
Yes.
And one of the cops comes up and goes, "What's going on?" In-laws. Like it is just.
She has 2 cigarettes in that movie, one at the beginning and one at the end.
And it's just so. Yeah, I added her. That's my Roosevelt. Who do you got?
I'm going to steal. It's gonna be kind of a repeat because I have one at the end that I'm kind of proud of. I'm gonna go with Ellen Ripley as well.
Oh, Ellen Ripley. Okay.
Ellen Ripley is my Roosevelt. I think she is such a fucking badass. The journey, and I'm just talking about from Alien to Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
The journey her character takes in those 2 movies is insane.
Mm-hmm.
She goes from being, because she's like the translator.
She's the warrant officer.
Yeah, she's the warrant officer, and she says what mother wants. And,
She's basically the third in charge of the ship.
yeah, because when Hurt and Dallas are not Hurt, but John Hurt. I can't remember his name from the movie. But Dallas, when they're both off the ship, because they're 1 and 2 in command.
Yes.
And so because she's the one that when they're trying to get back onto the Nostromo, they're like,
She's not wanting to let
she's
them
like,
on.
no, we can't do that. And
There's protocol.
And Ash overrides her protocol.
Yeah.
And I just think she's kind of like sort of timid-y at the beginning of Alien, and slowly through that movie she becomes a badass, and she becomes very like ingenious in the things she does, and then in Alien she's a total fucking badass.
She starts off the movie very vulnerable because she has been in hypersleep for 57 years, and she doesn't want like anything to do with the company, so she's doing these menial labor jobs, and she's waking up in night terrors and everything. She finally decides the only way she's ever going to get a good night's sleep, I think we've all been there, is just to face down the demon that she's gonna. And the thing about it is, she has to face down a literal demon.
Yeah.
She has to go face. It's not a like, oh, I have to face a demon of my drinking problem. I have to face a demon that's actually going to kill me.
Yeah,
because it's going to shove its tiny mouth through my forehead.
Yeah. But she finds like this thing that she can save in Newt.
Yeah.
You know, this thing that she's like, okay, I have this thing to save.
She becomes a surrogate mother.
Yeah.
She even gets to the point where she becomes very motherly in the movie.
Yeah, she does. Like that scene with the face hugger and Newt is one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen. Like the effects in that scene are really cool when you learn about it.
Also, Carrie Henn has a very good horror scream too.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, and then in Alien 3, she becomes a total fucking badass.
She becomes a complete badass. Like she rallies all of these guys with zero
she has
actual
that fucking
weaponry.
shaved head.
Shaved head. I give Sigourney Weaver a lot of props for rocking the shaved head. I mean, this was not long after G.I. Jane when everyone shit on Demi Moore for shaving her head for a literal movie about.
And that's my boy David Fincher.
Yep.
I mean, that was his first big movie that he got to direct.
That was the big studio production.
And then they were like, oh, and then we'll let you make 7.
Yeah, you make this if it makes money, which it did.
Yeah.
I mean, people may argue about whether or not Aliens 3 is actually good. I enjoy the movie.
It's fine.
I think it's fine. I think it's got a lot of good character work. I love.
I think the direction's good.
I think the direction's good. I think I think the cinematography is
The
great.
script is not great.
The script is not great, but I do like the character work because you really find. I mean, this is one of the very few instances of Charles Dance not being a complete and total like manipulative asshole. Charles Dutton is great in that movie.
Oh, I love
like,
Charles Dutton.
Charles Dutton in that movie is fantastic.
He's in
And
a-
then
he's-
the guy
he's-
that plays 85 has like kind of a redemption redemption arc.
Charles Dutton is in a really underrated Johnny Depp film called Nick of Time,
I've seen it.
where he plays the shoe shine guy.
Yeah, plays the shoe shine
God,
guy.
I fucking love that movie. Christopher Walken is such a psychopathic asshole in that movie. But it's a fun time. Anybody that has the chance, check it out. It's like 120 minutes long.
Yeah.
Or no, it's 82 minutes long. Sorry.
It's not not a long
It's very
movie.
long. It's about an assassination attempt on a
Yeah.
governor. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I watch it anytime it's on. I'll be like, yeah, this is a quick watch.
Yeah.
I'm into this. Johnny Depp rules in that movie. It's the first time I saw him as an actual person
Mm-hmm.
in a film, because before that I'd seen him as a robot, as because let's be real, Edward Scissorhands. That's what he is. He's a fucking robot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like one of the first times I saw him. I was like, oh, he plays humans too. Cool. And not weird shit that Tim Burton does. But yeah, I love Ellen Ripley. I think Sigourney Weaver is fucking great. First woman action star for me.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, I can't really think of
I can't think of
anybody that
anybody
would
else.
even come to mind.
yeah.
So who is your Lincoln?
Okay, so probably just go with Christy Cotton because one of the reasons why I would put her on the list is because the way she becomes a final girl is literally making a deal with the devil. She's great. She's a smart final girl. Like, I'm making a deal with this guy to deliver him the one person in the world that he wants to torture forever.
Yeah.
So, okay, who's your Lincoln?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I was like, what do I consider a final girl? She's a survivor. Check. She's likable. Check. She's relatable. Check. She has some bad things happen to her, and I want her to win. Check. She goes up against S&M demons. Check. She finds a box. Check. She's very sweaty. Check.
Yeah, because that has to be on the checklist, right?
She has an incredible jawline. Check.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful brown curly hair. Check.
Mm-hmm.
Weird uncle. Check.
Mm-hmm.
Disgusting stepmother. Check.
Check. Virtuous dad.
Virtuous dad. Check. It's Kirsty Cotton.
Yeah, it's Chrissy Cotton. Yeah.
She literally goes toe to toe with fucking sex demons.
Sex demons. Yeah, yeah. That's what we're gonna call it. S&M demons.
She gets chased by a thing in a hallway that isn't attached to a wheelbarrow.
Mm-hmm. No, not at all.
It's floating.
Yeah, it's definitely floating.
Chrissy Cotton is fucking fantastic.
Mhm. Also with a really great scream.
She's
Final Girl scream.
Oh my god, the end there's two great sequences for me with her. One is in the hospital scene when she meets Pinhead and the rest of the Cenobites. He was just known as lead Cenobite.
Yeah, they didn't actually call him
Doug.
Pinhead.
It was Doug Bradley as lead Cenobite.
Yeah.
He wasn't known as Pinhead.
That's a fun. That's one of Grant's fun facts.
Yeah, he was known as the lead Cenobite. But she opens that box and fucking meets them, makes a deal with them. I will give you my uncle in exchange for my father to to blah blah blah. And that's like, oh man, that's so cool. And then she gets like basically like word raped by her uncle and her dad's skin. It's fucking weird.
It's weird.
So that guy, I can't remember his name, but he was in Child's Play 3.
Oh, really?
He was the barber.
Oh, okay.
Presto.
I think I've seen Child's Play 3 one time.
It's fucking.
I know it's a really good movie.
No, it's dog water.
3?
It's like the worst of.
Oh, that's right. You like 2.
2's great.
Yeah.
3 is not great.
I think you'll be okay with me adding this. I will give a very, very honorable mention to Lauren Lavera from the Terrifier franchise.
I would give her an honorable mention. I have a couple of honorable mentions. One would be Lauren Lavera. I think she's great. The other would be Jenny from Friday 2.
Yeah.
I think she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's such a great final girl. She really outsmarts. Not that takes much.
It's Jason. He's
dumb,
stupid.
But she came up with a really ingenious way to kind of distract him by putting on the sweater.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, putting on the sweater,
Yeah,
and she's
and pretending to be Mother.
Mother is talking to you like he's confused. I'm like, dude, nobody ever did that throughout the entire.
Why did nobody
series.
ever think about this?
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, and like she's so good, and I love when she survives, and she's like fucking nuts when they're wheeling her out on that fucking gurney.
Because who wouldn't be, right?
I fucking love her. But yeah, she was my honorable mention. But yeah, Christy Cotton, that actually changed within this episode.
Oh really?
It really
Because
did.
you forgot about Christy Cotton.
I was like, oh yeah, I do love Christy Cotton.
Yeah, Christy Cotton is.
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
fucking great. I because I was like, I was probably gonna put Sally on there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, I fucking love Christy Cotton. No, Christy Cotton's taking the place of Sally.
Yeah.
Sally, she's great. She survived that dinner.
Yeah,
dinner from
did.
hell.
Yeah.
With fucking Nubbins fucking with her the whole time.
Fucking Nubbins,
And then fucking Drayton poking her with a stick.
with the fucking
Grandpa's the best at killing. And she just jumps out that fucking window and finds a trucker, and jumps in that fucking back, and it's a great end to a movie. And
Yeah,
stuff
it
like
really
that.
is, yeah.
And she survives. I mean, she survived that.
Yeah.
She's a survivor. But then I'm like, dude, Christy Cotton faced down like S&M demons.
Yeah.
One of them has a vagina for his stomach.
He sure did.
Yeah, it's fucking.
It's a lot.
That changed in the middle. And then I was like, ooh, what? Let's book in my final girls to that faced off the Supernatural.
Yeah.
But I think Christy is fucking awesome. I love her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's great. I think she is not talked about enough.
She was also in like one of the best movies ever made.
What's that?
Hellraiser was one of the best movies ever made, right? You're really gonna back off the bit that right now. This is the moment you're gonna make your stand.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
This is where you make the stand, right?
I mean, it's good.
Oh God. I set up the bit so well.
Yeah, let's talk about the greatest film ever made. Insert
whatever movie he's about to
title that we're gonna talk about right now. I mean, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Fuck off. So we were at. We want to give a big shout out to the T-Town HorrorCon.
Yeah.
We were down there last weekend. Got to meet some very cool folks.
Speaking of Final Girls.
Speaking of Final Girls, although technically speaking, I don't know if she classifies as Final Girl because she was actually the killer, but I'm gonna give it to her. We met the very lovely Felissa Rose. Had just a blast hanging out with her at her table for an extended period of time because she kept asking us to come back, and we kept coming back.
Yeah, we came back so much we became formally introduced to the guy who ran her line. Name is Al. He was a great guy.
Great guy. Al, I hope you're listening to this podcast. We did give you one of our cards, so we hope you're listening. You're getting a shout out. You were definitely one of the coolest fixtures at the con, second to Felissa, which of course you already knew.
Yeah. We got to we had a very funny exchange with Bill Moseley.
Yeah, because we turned into fucking idiots.
Fucking great. I don't know what it was. Like, I met Felissa Rose. I was fine.
Yeah, we had to have a cool down.
I'd have a cool down, and then we went and I was like, Bill Moseley's line was very short, and Grant was like, well, we go give you Bill Moseley. This is right after we talked to Felissa Rose, and she was like, you guys should come back so we can talk. And I was like,
what the fuck is even going on right now? Like, I don't know.
Okay.
Like a star wants us to come back so we can talk more.
And so I was like, nah, I can't go over there now.
We're too high.
I'm up here. I'm at like a 12.
Yeah.
I can't really go meet Bill Moseley at a 12. I need to be calmed down to about a 6.
Yeah.
So we chilled around, then we came back, and we went up to Bill Moseley, and I was like, okay, well, we started talking to him a little bit. And then I was looking at some of the pictures. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get a picture of Chop Top because that is my favorite character that Bill Moseley has ever played. So I grabbed the picture, I paid my money, and then I go over to get him to sign it, and he asked me, well, what do you want? Do you want me to put something? What do you want me to write? Do you want me to write something? And I was like, yeah. Can you write "Music Is My Life"? Because it's a quote from Texas Chainsaw 2. And then I just kind of stood there, and it felt like 20 minutes. And then he looked up at me and he was like, you want a name on that? And I was like, yeah, can you put Evan? And then and then we took a selfie. He was very nice.
Yeah, he was super nice.
He did the hanger.
He did the hanger thing
On his head. He was wearing a jersey of Chop Top, which was nice. And then he signed. It was very nice. He signed it in like 4 different colors. The quote, my name, his name, all in different colors. It looks very nice.
Yeah.
And he made sure to tell me, hey, let that dry before you put it on anything and stuff like that. I was like, thanks, Grandpa.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And then I walked away, and
then I walked up, and I somehow managed to. I don't know if he actually took it as an insult, but I insulted him because I'm not a huge fan of Texas Chainsaw 2. And I, for some reason...
Hey, I'm going to be real with you. You probably did because he before he was in Texas Chainsaw 2, which was his first major film.
Yeah.
He made a student film.
Yeah.
That was called Texas Chainsaw Manicure, and and that's literally how he got cast in that movie.
Yeah, and I understand this now. If you could have said, "Hey, man, shut the fuck up," while I'm standing there, but unfortunately, my nerves were just going because of the interaction we had with Felissa, and now standing in front of Bill Moseley, who's also another horror icon. My brain went to complete fucking mush. So I tell him flat out, hey man, yeah, it's cool. I don't really like that much. I don't really like Texas Chainsaw 2 that much. I much prefer, like all of your other films, like blah 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 and blah blah blah. And I even talked about Dead Air, right? But I think after I had insulted,
he appreciated that though.
I think he appreciated that.
And he also, you were talking to him about Night of the Living Dead and with Patricia Tallman, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it was cool because we were both in Army of Darkness. We just didn't ever have scenes.
Had scenes together. Yeah. So he goes to sign it. And because I picked a picture that has him and Sherry Moon Zombie, which someday, hopefully, in the near or distant future, I'm hoping to meet Sherry Moon. I don't know
if she does cons. I've never seen her do a con. But...
I don't know if she has to do cons, but I was like, yeah, I picked this one because I'm really kind of hoping at some point I might get to meet Sherry and she can sign this one too, so I can go up on my wall and everything. So he's like. Do you want me to put your name on it? And I was like, yes. And then
there was no follow up.
And then 20 minutes later, he looks up at me and he goes, name? And I said, oh shit, sorry, Grant. I'm so fucking nervous right now. He did the most grandpa thing. He like looks up. He did a Kubrick stare to me. And it was the most intimidating Kubrick stare I've ever had in my life. And I'll never forget it, and it was awesome. So thank you, Bill Moseley.
Yeah, when we were leaving, Grant was like, man, he was very like grandpa. Like he was like, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, I was expecting that all day.
100%.
Because that's just that's the energy I get. I was trying to tell Kendall this. I was like, he's very intimidating, and he's like, really? And I showed him a picture. He's like, that guy. I'm like, yeah, he's very intimidating. I was like, I know he looks like a skinny older guy, but he's like, I was like, you have to watch some of the movies he's been in to understand why he's so intimidating.
He's the same height as us. And he probably weighs like 30 pounds less than me or you. Like he's a very skinny, very.
He has Charles
guy.
Manson qualities about him.
He does, minus the swastika forehead tattoo.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's what I consider Otis. Otis is like a Charles Manson knockoff. That's. But and then
we went back to Felissa's table.
We started talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking to her about the podcast. I gave her one of our cards.
Yeah.
She said, "You guys have cards?" And I was like, yeah. She's like, my podcast doesn't have cards. And I was like, you have a podcast?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I do a podcast with Kane Hodder. And I was like,
holy shit.
Holy fucking shit. And I asked her what it was. And I want to promote that podcast on here just so people can go out and find it. It's called Casualty Fridays.
I've listened to a couple episodes. It's mostly just a couple of, like 3 horror icons or 2 horror icons and their friend just kind of talking about what they did.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's very conversational.
It's very conversational.
Yeah, they talk about just like, they talk about some horror stuff. They talk about, but a lot of the stuff is like, hey, what'd you do this weekend?
What'd you do? How was your Halloween? That was the episode that I just listened to. Was they were talking about Halloween and how she dressed up as Amy Winehouse. And,
they went.
And then immediately, the first thing she did when she walked into the party was she fell.
Yeah, they went to
they're like, oh, you're really with the costume.
Yeah, that was Felissa going to a party at Spencer Charnas's house, lead singer of Ice Nine Kills.
I really hope someday that I'm that famous to where I get invited to like
Oh yeah, he's
Ice
like
Nine Kills parties.
He's like, yeah. Well, I mean, shit. Pet Spencer's he's a fan, just like everybody else. I
Yeah,
mean,
he really is.
He just started, like
writing songs about it.
yeah, and then he got accepted into the horror community. Bill Moseley is in all of his music videos.
Yeah, so if you have not listened to Casualty Friday, please go check it out. Felissa Rose deserves every bit of love.
And so does Kane.
And so does Kane. They deserve every bit of love because they are super good to the fans. So return the favor and listen to her podcast. She has some really the stories that they tell are all really funny. I really appreciated the first episode where Kane was just like one of the boys and he kept circling back. I really want to know what the end of the poop story is.
Yeah, when I meet Kane, I'm gonna ask him about it.
We need to ask him about it.
Speaking of Jason's,
see,
I'm a really good at the segues.
This is probably one of your better ones.
We went down the road, and C.J. Graham was there. If anybody doesn't know, C.J. Graham played Jason Voorhees in Friday 6.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Friday. Giant man.
He's big.
Huge man.
Big guy.
He's
deceptively strong.
deceptively strong. So we go up there, and he is autographing, your usual pictures and stuff like that, but he's also autographing hockey masks and machetes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to get a fucking hockey mask. So I'm like, I'm going to get this on this hockey mask. And I go over and meet him. And I'm like, and I'm talking to him. I'm like, oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, you were my favorite Friday movie ever. I love Part 6. And then I go to take a picture with him. Well, in all the other booths, they had somebody.
I like to refer to them as handlers.
Yeah, they had handlers taking the photos for them.
Yeah.
Like a lady took a photo for us with Bill Moseley.
Yeah, and Al was the one who was taking pictures for everybody at Felissa's table.
Al took all the pictures at Felissa's table. Well, at C.J. Graham's table, his nephew was his handler, but he was kind of just sitting behind the
table, taking money and all that stuff.
And so we were taking
also a very cool guy. I
Very
wish
nice guy.
I don't remember if I got his name, but
very
cool guy.
Maybe if we see him at another con, I might ask.
Yeah, we have a con coming up here. CJ Graham's supposed to be at it, so.
And then they everybody's kind of just taking their own photos. So I go to take a photo with CJ Graham, and Grant's taking the photo, and then he grabs me by my shoulder and like almost lifts me off the ground and pulls me in really close, and I'm very scared at this point. The picture isn't me making a face. It's literally I'm terrified. And he takes the photo for me.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then Grant gets done taking the photo.
And I had just handed the phone back to Evan. I was like, oh, take a look at your pictures. And CJ Graham I'm standing like maybe 3 feet away. CJ Graham, it feels like he doesn't take a single step. Like that's just his wingspan. He reaches across this 3-foot span, grabs me by my shirt and I was wearing a backpack, grabs me by my backpack strap and goes, "You didn't think you were fucking getting out of this, did you?" And he yanks me off of my feet towards him to take a picture. I had not paid to take selfies or anything like that with him. It was just, I had no idea. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'm taking a picture.
Yeah, click.
Because it was on my phone.
Yes, and I need to get those pictures. I look terrified. But CJ Graham was super cool guy, very, very personable.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy. There were little kids coming up to him, and he was spending so much time with the kids, talking to them and getting their autographs. Because he was probably like, "What the fuck?" He's like,
"Why are these kids? Why is this 6-year-old?"
There was like little kids with like Jason Funko Pops, and they were
Mm-hmm.
having him sign it. And I was like, and I looked at Grant. I was like, "See, this is what I love about this community. This is why this genre will never die."
Yeah.
Because that's how important it is to people.
The actors that are in this genre understand the assignment. Well, after CJ Graham, we got called back over to Felissa's table again. So we were talking to her, and you guys may notice this because this will be the first episode that comes out that has it. But Felissa Rose was so nice to record us a little bit extra for our podcast. That is her lovely voice at the beginning. And then we were standing there talking to her after she'd recorded something, and we were not even really paying, because we were basking in her glow. We're not even paying attention to our surroundings. We're standing there talking to her, and somebody walks up behind us, right? And we had no fucking idea that we just literally started up a conversation with Lee goddamn Waddell, which, if you don't know, is the guy who was in the Ghostface costume in the Scream. Was it just Scream 1, or he was in all of them?
He's at least in the first trilogy.
Yeah, he's in the first trilogy. And we had no idea that we had just accidentally started a conversation.
Yeah, he's over there hugging us, and
And
he's
everything,
like,
yeah.
and he's like, is she bothering you? I'm like, no.
No, she's a fucking angel on earth, you know?
And she was, and he was just over there, like, we didn't go up to his table or anything like that. He just
came over and started a
came
conversation.
over and started talking to us. So was, giving us a hug, like, he's like, oh, I appreciate you guys and stuff like that. Hopefully I'll see you guys on one of the other cons and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and Felissa was asking me about my job, and I told her, about, I work with the homeless, and I've worked with kids that are in foster care and all this stuff, and she's like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna cry, and I looked at her and I said, please do not let me be the reason Felissa Rose cries at this fucking convention.
Yeah, she was offering us her chair.
She was like, I knelt down and did a very dad move when I was trying to stand up because my knees cracked, and I was like, ooh. And she's like, oh my God, are you okay? Do you want to sit down? I'm like, I'm not taking your goddamn chair.
Yeah.
You're the star. I'm the lackey.
Yeah, but she was nice enough to. She was very surprised when we knew the name of her dad in the film.
Yeah, she was.
She was like, "You guys remember the name of my dad?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a bit on our podcast."
Yeah. John.
Yeah, and then I was talking to her about what, because Grant was like, I bet you he can tell you what your favorite line from Sleepaway Camp is. And she looked at me. She's like, "What is it?" And I was like, "Hey, yo, Angela, why are you so fucked up?"
She repeated it at the same time.
Yeah. And when she was signing my picture, she's like, "Hey, do you want me to put that on your picture?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do."
Absolutely, I do.
So that's what my picture says. It says, "Yo, Angela, why are you so fucked up?"
And she also she asked us she was like, "Do you think Ricky knew?" And I was like, "I think Ricky had to know." Because he had to go to a funeral, right? Because John and, your sister died. And she's like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Ricky would have had to have gone to that funeral. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, how do you guys know this much? I was like, dude, I watched your movie 4 times in 1 week just to get ready for the podcast. And she's like, please tell your friend Kendall I'm sorry that was the first one you made him watch. I said, no, never be sorry for that.
Yeah,
That
and
movie's-
I told her, I was like, he actually really loved it.
He really did. He really did, so.
It was one of his favorites that we watched.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our adventures in Tulsa. We had a good time. We had met another guy named Russell who was a very nice guy.
Very nice guy, yeah.
Originally from this area and stuff like that. He has he was a very nice guy.
Very nice guy.
We're hoping to keep in contact with him.
Yep. So Russell, if you're listening, we remember you, and
send us an email. We have some things that we might need to discuss.
yeah. Speaking of, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to make us talk to us about a movie that you want us to watch or something along those lines, a topic you want us to discuss, please email us at khhorrorpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and then also when you email us, specify whether you want us to do a regular episode about something or maybe a deep cuts episode about something. Make sure when you follow, you subscribe to the podcast on any of the podcast stations that you
Platforms, whatever. That's fine.
I'm old. And make sure you give us a rate and review.
Yeah.
If you're on YouTube, make sure you smash that.
Click the things that make the dings. Thank you, Olivia Goldberg Hicks and
appease the algorithm.
Yeah, appease the algorithm gods.
And then tell all your friends.
Yeah, follow us on X. What is that?
That
Twitter
is KHH Pod on X and Kendall Hates Horror on Instagram.
Yeah, and it's Kendall Hates Horror on TikTok. Hopefully, maybe it's actually going to survive. There's possibilities. Supreme Court's hearing it. Who knows? But we are also on Blue Sky at kendallhateshorror.bsky.social, I think is the full thing.
Yeah.
And I'm at Gallus Dracon on all the things. Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. Evan is Smarky MFer at everything. I think.
Except for Smarky MFer on Twitter, Smarky MFer on Blue Sky. It's smarkymfr.bluesky.social. And then Crit Happens 13 on Instagram.
And as always, Kendall can only be found in his backyard, sitting in a chair with a beer in his hand.
Now have a Facebook page.
We do have a Facebook page. It is literally it is the official Kendall Hates Horror podcast on Facebook. Any parting words?
Be kind to each other. Let's make horror great again.
Let's make horror great again. Be excellent to each other, and we will see you. Oh, by the way, this episode's going to be coming out right before Christmas, so if you celebrate, happy holidays. And
Kwanzaa, Hanukkah,
whatever makes
the
you
fuck.
happy. Yeah.
Ramadan? No, that's not right.
No, that's not right. That's not one. Yeah, so have a happy holiday. Enjoy your time with your family.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.